Viewer discretion is strongly recommended before proceeding. What follows is intended solely for educational and entertainment purposes. This is a direct recounting of testimony delivered in federal court during the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. As reported by Inner City Press, the courtroom fell completely silent as the judge announced the next witness. All heads turned toward the back of the courtroom when a well-known figure unexpectedly came forward, Usher Raymond. The Grammy-winning R&B icon wasn't there to discuss his career or settle a music industry dispute. He was there to reveal what he had long kept secret about life inside the walls of Diddy's inner circle. For years, Usher kept quiet. He played along with the industry, gave polished interviews, and sidestepped uncomfortable topics. But now, with Diddy facing serious federal accusations, including trafficking, coercion, and running a criminal network of abuse, Usher has chosen to break his silence. And what he revealed, he says, has haunted him for years. From what he witnessed at just 14 years old while living under Diddy's roof to what he later uncovered about the industry's hidden darkness, his testimony isn't just disturbing. It could be a turning point. Usher started by recalling the day his mother told him he would be moving in with Diddy in New York. At the time, he was only 14, fresh off the release of his first album and full of ambition. L.A. Reid had arranged the mentorship, convinced that Diddy could help elevate Usher's career. But no one foresaw the reality Usher was about to step into. "I thought I was going there to learn how to become a superstar," Usher said in a tight, controlled voice. "What I actually experienced were things no teenager should be exposed to." He described entering Diddy's Midtown Manhattan penthouse, where from day one, the atmosphere was one of constant excess. Bottles of champagne sat on breakfast trays. Strangers roamed the place, some waking up in unfamiliar rooms. Half-dressed celebrities and public figures, people Usher recognized from the media, lounged around in a daze. "It didn't feel like a home," he told the court. "It felt like a stage." Diddy had dubbed it Flavor Camp. At first, Usher thought it was just a clever nickname. Only later did he realize it meant indulgence in every form. The courtroom remained riveted as Usher revealed that the mentorship quickly morphed into something entirely different. Diddy wasn't teaching him music skills. Instead, he was being immersed in a lifestyle. Usher said he was told to stop asking questions and simply observe. "This is how it works," Diddy told him. "Watch and learn. That's how grown men do things." Usher recalled waking up one night around 3 a.m. to the sound of music and soft candlelight. People in masks were quietly entering the apartment. When he stepped into the living room, he found what he could only describe as an orchestrated ritual, far more than just a party. There was an unsettling order to it. Cameras, lists. Everyone seemed to know what was going on. No one was surprised. For a moment, Usher said, "I thought maybe I'd stumbled onto a movie set." But something told him he wasn't supposed to witness what he saw. He was told to go back to bed. But that night, sleep never came. It was then, he said, that his view of Diddy changed forever. The next part of Usher's testimony focused on the warnings he never got. Warnings that should have come from his label, from his mother, or from those in the industry who already knew what Diddy's world truly looked like. People thought Diddy was just eccentric, Usher told the court. What they didn't understand was how much control he had, silent, invisible, and absolute. If Diddy didn't like you, your career came to a halt. If he favored you, your silence became part of the unspoken agreement. Usher explained that he wasn't the only one. There were others, young artists who were drawn in with promises of fame, only to be slowly pulled into Diddy's orbit without fully grasping what was happening to them. He didn't name names, but hinted that more voices would come forward. There were people around, assistants, drivers, musicians, who all saw it. Everyone acted like it was normal. But deep down, they knew the adults had failed us. A particularly unsettling memory emerged when Usher described a private trip to the Caribbean that Diddy invited him on at age 15. It was supposed to be a retreat, he recalled. Just me, him, and a few others. The place was remote. No press, no cameras. That's when I realized I wasn't there to learn anything about music. He paused. "I won't share every detail, But I will say this, I didn't get a choice in the kind of environment I was put in. It took me years to understand the depth of that manipulation. The courtroom remained still. After that trip, Usher said Diddy's behavior changed. He became more possessive, more controlling. New faces constantly cycled in and out. Parties were endless, and rules became stricter. Anytime Usher pushed back, even slightly, he was reminded of who held the power. He'd say, "Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Remember who gave you this life." Then Usher looked straight at Diddy and said, "You didn't give me this life. You gave me nightmares." What followed was one of the most stunning moments in the testimony. Usher recounted being given a contract at age 16, one that included a confidentiality clause. At the time, it was presented as a typical non-disclosure agreement meant to protect the inner workings of Bad Boy Records. But it went further. "I didn't even understand half the legal language," Usher admitted. "My mom had to co-sign. The label's lawyers said it was standard. Looking back now, I know what it really was, a contract to keep me quiet. He signed it out of trust. That signature, he said, bought his silence for years. It prevented him from speaking about the parties, the guests, the behavior he witnessed. They told me breaking it would damage the brand. But no one asked what staying silent did to me." Usher revealed that the clause came back to haunt him. In 2009, while preparing for an in-depth interview with a major magazine, the questions started getting personal. Suddenly, he received a call from Bad Boy's former legal team. They reminded him of his NDA. "We hope you're not planning to risk your reputation," they told him. He backed out of the interview. But it wasn't just legal pressure. According to Usher, he also received thinly veiled threats from individuals still tied to Diddy, people he hadn't spoken to in years. "You think you've left that world," he said, "but that world never leaves you. And if you cross the line, there are consequences. Not just to your career, but to your safety." Then, in a powerful moment, Usher pulled out a copy of the NDA. The judge allowed it as evidence. It included strict language regarding audiovisual materials and unauthorized reproduction, phrases that took on a disturbing tone given Diddy's alleged secret video archive. Usher's voice broke slightly. "That document made me feel like I was going crazy for years. Like none of it was real, because I was never allowed to say it aloud." He went on to describe a lesser-known incident from 1996 when he was 17. Diddy had taken him to a private mansion party in Atlanta. That night would forever alter how Usher saw the man he once admired. Diddy was in full host mode. The mansion was packed with celebrities, models, and strangers who didn't seem to belong to the music world at all. The house itself was luxurious. Marble floors, security guards at every entry, and a DJ spinning until sunrise. But it wasn't the glamour that stayed with him. It was what was hidden. There was a secret room, Usher said. He described how Diddy whispered something to a guard, who unlocked a door in the back of the house. "You're not ready for that yet," Diddy told him with a grin. Usher peeked in any way. There were people wearing masks. "That's all I'll say. I didn't know what I was looking at." He paused, then said something that made the entire courtroom stir. "I think that night changed me. I saw things I still can't explain. I don't know if they were legal, but I know they weren't right." Then he held up photocopied pages from his personal journal. He explained that he began writing it in 1998, not just for lyrics or creative ideas, but to document his experiences. One entry, dated March 1999, read, "Had dinner with Diddy and 3 execs I didn't know. They kept talking about loyalty. Said, loyalty keeps you on tour. Honesty sends you home." Diddy laughed. Another entry from October 2000 detailed a party he chose not to attend. "Too many secrets. Too many masks." Diddy says it's just the culture. "I don't agree." "Did you ever show these entries to anyone?" the prosecutor asked. Usher shook his head. "I was scared. Scared I'd lose everything. And I didn't think anyone would believe me." Asked why he chose to speak out now, Usher responded, "Because I've carried it long enough, and the truth needs to come out." He leaned closer to the mic and shared a moment he said he hadn't even told his closest friends. In 1997, at age 18, Diddy invited him to Miami to meet a powerful investor, someone who could fund his first world tour. "I thought it was business," Usher said. Diddy hyped it like it was the biggest opportunity of my life. told me to dress sharp and be respectful. But when he arrived at the penthouse suite at the Seta Hotel, what he saw shocked him. 3 men in robes were lounging with luxury champagne. Several young women sat silently in the background. One man, foreign-sounding, asked, "Do you want to be remembered forever?" Usher knew he wasn't talking about music. Then came the moment he would never forget. Diddy left him alone with the men. "I felt trapped," Usher testified. "They didn't touch me. But one of them put his hand on my shoulder and said, 'You can stay or you can leave, but you'll never get an invitation like this again.'" Usher said everything shifted after he walked out of that penthouse suite. Soon after, he was unexpectedly removed from a tour opportunity, and a prominent producer suddenly backed out of collaborating with him. "No one ever said it was because I left that suite," Usher explained. But after that night, doors that had always been open suddenly slammed shut. Weeks later, Diddy showed him a video clip from a handheld camera. He laughed while playing it back. Usher said the footage showed another young artist in a compromising situation, something he was sure the artist would never have consented to without being forced. When asked if Diddy had directly threatened him, Usher paused. "He didn't have to," he said. "The people around him did. They didn't use words. They used silence. They used exile." That was the moment Usher testified when he realized that fame in Diddy's world wasn't about talent. It was about submission. That's how people stayed relevant, by surrendering. As the courtroom dimmed and cameras zoomed in on his face, Usher's tone became more intimate. "This is the hardest part," he said quietly, "because it's not about me anymore." He began speaking about Justin Bieber's early career. Usher had helped launch Bieber, mentoring him and co-signing him into the industry. "In the beginning, it was all hopeful. I wanted to be the big brother I never had," Usher recalled. But then Diddy got involved. According to Usher, Diddy began inviting the teenage Bieber to private gatherings he called Flavor Camp, the same phrase he'd used on Usher years before. "He was just 15, Usher said, but they were treating him like he was a grown man. Usher recalled a haunting phone call in 2011. Bieber called him, but said nothing at first, just heavy breathing on the line. Finally, he whispered, "I want to come home." Usher's team tried to locate him, but Bieber went silent for 2 days. When they eventually met again, he wouldn't make eye contact. He only said, "It's fine. I'm good now." But Usher added he wasn't. Usher admitted he later confronted Diddy, asking him directly, "What are you doing to these kids?" Diddy reportedly smiled and replied, "Same thing they did to me. That's just how the game works." That was the final serious conversation they ever had. After that, Usher said, "I pulled back. I didn't want my name tied to any of it. But watching what happened to Justin, I couldn't keep quiet anymore." He then shared a chilling revelation. In 2018, he received a call from a blocked number. A voice on the other end said, "Tell him to keep his mouth shut, or we'll shut it for him." When asked in court who he believed was behind the threat, Usher looked directly at the defense table. "I think you know," he said. Then came one of the most explosive moments in the courtroom. Usher described a private party at a hidden estate in the Hollywood Hills back in 2002. Until now, it had never been publicly discussed. He said the event was disguised as a meet and greet with a new European producer. But when he arrived, the reality was far different. There were no producers, no executives, just guards at every entrance, dim lights, and an overwhelming sense of secrecy. Phones were confiscated at the door, and guests were handed unusual NDAs, non-disclosure agreements with far more intimidating language than anything Usher had ever seen. "The vibe was off," he said, his voice cracking. There were people there who weren't part of the industry. They weren't creatives. They were just watching. He said he recognized several well-known faces, people never publicly linked to Diddy, but refused to name them, hinting instead that if the trial continued, others might be forced to testify. Usher recalled trying to leave the party early, but being intercepted by a man he didn't recognize. He was led into a side room, where Diddy was sitting. He looked at me and said, "You still think this is about music? This is bigger than that. You're not ready." Usher said he left that night and never attended another party hosted by Diddy again. His testimony then shifted to the business side of things. For the first time, he presented internal emails and early contracts. He revealed that as a teenager, he He had signed a development deal locking him into a 5-album agreement and surrendering the rights to his masters until age 35. "I didn't know what I was signing," Usher admitted. "I just wanted to sing." He went on to explain that other artists under Bad Boy had signed similar deals. He named Carl Thomas, Total, Black Rob, and Craig Mack, all reportedly drawn in with promises of mentorship, only to be discarded when they became inconvenient or defiant. He revealed that a private accountant once sent him a spreadsheet showing unpaid royalties, amounting to over $4.3 million. When he confronted Diddy, he claims Diddy laughed and said, "If you knew what I really owe you, you wouldn't sleep at night." According to court documents, several artists had taken settlements in silence, some accepting modest payments just to be allowed to use their names or perform their own songs again. Usher said that in 2011, he tried to organize a private meeting with other artists to discuss what they'd experienced. But the meeting was sabotaged after someone tipped off Diddy. Even worse, he once witnessed Diddy ordering the destruction of demo tapes and footage belonging to an artist who had threatened to go public. That artist, Usher claimed, has since vanished. "I don't know where he is," Usher said. "No one does. But I remember his voice. I remember that he was scared." The courtroom grew eerily quiet. When asked why he waited so long to speak out, Usher answered with a mix of pain and clarity. "Because I thought I owed him something. I thought if I stayed silent, I could move on and still be grateful. But you can't be grateful for a lie." The guilt haunted him for years. He watched other young talents fall into the same trap and admitted he didn't know how to help without putting his own career in jeopardy. It was always about leverage, he said, and Diddy had all of it. In 2016, as an infamous Drink Champs clip resurfaced online, Usher tried one last time to confront Diddy. He was blocked by legal representatives. Then, Usher shared a passage from a private journal entry written the night he finally cut ties with Diddy. It read, "I survived Puffy, but did the kid in me survive? I still don't know." He turned to the jury and addressed not just the court, but the world watching. "This isn't about one man. This is about an entire system that told kids like me to shut up, to obey, to never question the hand that fed us. But I'm here now, and I'm not afraid anymore. Not for me. I've lived it. I'm doing this for the ones who didn't make it out." For a moment, the courtroom sat frozen. What had started as a trial for racketeering and trafficking had morphed into something much bigger, a reckoning with decades of silence in the music industry. Usher then revealed something no one knew until now. In 2001, at the peak of his fame following the release of 8701, he vanished from the spotlight for a week. At the time, insiders assumed it was a break from touring. But Usher told the court he had checked into a private mental health facility in Northern California under a false name. The reason? A mental breakdown triggered by years of unresolved trauma from his time living under Diddy's influence. He described experiencing panic attacks after turning 20, brought on by flashing lights, tight spaces, even specific types of music. He recalled staying in a New York hotel that used to host one of Diddy's infamous parties. "I walked into the hallway and smelled the same kind of candles. My body froze. I started shaking. I couldn't breathe." That night, his team rushed him to the clinic, where he stayed for 5 days. There, he told the psychiatrist, "I saw things no kid should see. I learned that in this world, survival meant silence, and smiling was the only shield I had." Usher revealed he was diagnosed with PTSD. It took 2 years of therapy before he could sleep without nightmares. Though he didn't name names, he said other young artists suffered too. One overdosed. Another attempted suicide. A third disappeared entirely. "I was lucky," Usher said. "I had the money to get help, but some of them didn't." When asked why he kept quiet for over 20 years, Usher answered plainly, "Because no one would have believed me in 2001. Puffy was untouchable, and I was just a kid with a voice. But now the world is listening." And in that moment, everyone in the room knew this testimony wasn't just a confession. It was a call for truth.